Of the town of Orangetown to order. If everyone, we hear, is this better? If I could just have everyone get it down to a dull roar. Thank you. We took attendance previously at our youth court graduation, which was our police commission meeting. So I'm going to go straight to the Pledge of Allegiance. If Esther Baitler could please lead us.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Few announcements, then a couple of presentations, and then we'll move on to the regular order for the evening. First, tomorrow, Wednesday, March 13th at 6:15 p.m., the 6th Annual Special Olympics Bombers basketball game will be at Pearl River High School. That'll be the Bosse's Bombers versus the Venture Suns, 6:15 tomorrow. I see we have a Venture fan in the back there. March 17th, this Sunday, also the actual St. Patrick's Day, which is a nice quirk of scheduling. At 1:30, the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Rockland County St. Patrick's Day Parade, sponsored by the Ancient Order of Hibernians, will be stepping off in Pearl River, running from Middletown Road down Central Avenue. Definitely a great event, worth attending, and always well attended.
Could you please net that the word have to mark event?
Yes, Esther. Thank you, Esther. Paper shredding event going on not this Saturday, Saturday, April 13th. That's Saturday, April 13th from 8 a.m. to noon, sponsored by our town clerk, Rosanna Sfraja. That'll be here in the town hall parking lot. If you could please bring non-perishable food donations for local pantries, along with whatever you have to shred. Bring what you need to shred and some food for the people that are a little less fortunate. Finally, we have the Camp Shanks Legacy exhibit. It's the new exhibit going on at the town of Orangetown's museum. Its opening reception is April 13th, Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Depew House. It's sponsored by the Orangetown Historical Museum and Archives. All are welcome and admission is free. That display will continue throughout the season, so welcome to come by if you can't make it then during the normal operating hours. So, moving on to presentations, we have two things going on in the month of March. First, we have, obviously, St. Patrick's Day, and all the Irish cultural things going along with that. So our first presentation will be to the honorees of the Ancient Order Hibernians associated with the parade for Irish Cultural Heritage Month and proclaiming this Irish Cultural Heritage Month in the town of Orangetown. After that, and after the music, we will have presentations for National Women's History Month for the month of March, and along with that, National Catholic Sisters Week. A lot of different months and weeks going on, and we're excited about all of them. So I'm going to invite the honorees and the piper to please go ahead and escort them in. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn this over to Dennis Troy, who is the senior Hibernian present on the town board, to do the presentations.
I would like to acknowledge one person, is the gentleman standing up here on the right. Tom Mooney was a Grand Marshal back in the 80s and a veteran, a great man, Tom Mooney. Each year, the Hibernians run the St. Patrick's Day Parade. They have an Emerald Ball. And one of the things that's always amazing to me, and through the years, I've been in the Hibernians for 35 years, is that people think the Pearl River Parade just poof happens by accident. They don't realize how much money it takes in order to do the parade. And that money is raised through the Emerald Ball for 2 weeks ago. And it's over $20,000. It's probably a lot higher even now than what I remember. But all right, the people who are here help organize that, get other people, other volunteers, and it's a great parade. From my perspective, a lot of people have come up to visit their friends on St. Patrick's Day Pearl River Parade and ended up moving into Orangetown because they were so impressed with the community. It's really, it's a great example of the type of community that we live in. So each year we have a Hibernian of the Year. The Hibernian of the Year this year is Ed O'Day. You want to read this whole? Read it all.
Just a couple of.
We have a long meeting here. So I have to say this about Ed O'Day. Ed O'Day is like the Energizer Bunny Rabbit. The man is involved in so many charities. He's hooked me into a whole bunch of them with him. And Eddie O'Day is a retired detective, narcotics detective in the city. He was on my substance abuse committee. Eddie runs the Lourdes Kids of Rockland, sending children disabled over to Lourdes each year, and is involved in all sorts of charity fundraisers, and he's an integral member of the AOH Division III in Pearl River. Eddie, it says here, the Irish Cultural Heritage Month in the town of Orangetown, March 2019, honoring Ed O'Day, Hibernian of the Year, and it's signed off by Chris Day, the town supervisor. Congratulations, Ed. Each year, the Hibernians honor a business person of the year. And again, the businesses support the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and they are definitely critical. Again, as town board members, the businesses bring tax revenues a year into the town. And I'd have to tell you this, it's Heather Bowie, and I don't even know Heather Bowie, but congratulations to Heather Bowie's Business Person of the Year. Heather's from Suffern? Suffern. Yes, okay. So you'll give that to Heather, okay. Next one. Each year, there's a parade commander. Parade commander is very important because the parade commander makes sure that everybody makes the right turn when they're coming up onto Middletown Road. Could get lost. It's 2 right-hand turns. But the parade commander is, year in and year out, is somebody who's either been in law enforcement or has been in the military. And this year, the Megan Levy is a United States Marine, retired Marine, and her dad is here, Tom Levy. Tom, stand up. Tom is the president of AOH Division 5. Megan, besides her great service to this country, serving overseas, was in the newspaper where she saved the dog, the service dog that she had over in Iraq. And she is our parade commander this year. We're very fortunate to have her as the parade commander. And Tom, congratulations to you, all right? So, Tom. Each year, Rockland County also has an aide to the Grand Marshal to the New York City Parade, which is this year on Saturday, right up Fifth Avenue. And the aide to the Grand Marshal this year is Daniel Donahue from New City. All right, so if you'll give this to Daniel Donahue, that'd be great. It's my honor on the next one. Each year there's a Grand Marshal. It's a great honor. And again, the Pearl River Parade has been going on since 1962, I believe is the correct date. Each year there's a Grand Marshal that is selected. I was fortunate enough to be selected, and I can't believe 20 years ago. I was a young guy once, but it was before I was a young guy. I don't know. But again, in terms of selecting people for these honors, Joan Moore, again, is somebody who was involved in everything under the sun out of AOH Division 3. She's the president of the was the president of the Ladies AOH Division 3, was president of the county, I believe. But she also watches one of my grandchildren, which has watched several of them, which is not an easy deal either. But it's a thing where Joan Moore, if you want to pick somebody who just personifies service, they picked the right person. Joan Moore is the Grand Marshal of the 2019 St. Patrick's Day Parade, and proud to march with her on Sunday.
So, before you guys cycle out with the vice playing, maybe we just move around for a quick photo, and
And one other thing.
we got one more.
The man behind the woman is the gentleman who played the pipes on the way in, Dermot Moore, who is president of the AOH men's division. So thank you, Dermot.
So, why don't we'll just circle around in front here, because this is not going to be a very good picture of the sitting, and then we'll come back, play you out. You want to stay seated or work? Okay, we'll stand here. All right, we'll stand behind them. There you go. Yeah, just pull the post-it off. Dennis forgot it. Yeah. You're going to have to be paying for that post-it if you want a bunch of cuts.
Greg, hold on one second. Former Grand Marshal
Yeah.
Tom Mooney, come up here.
He also marched in the first parade, and I did.
First.
I took one of my shoulder.
I didn't do that.
Parade in New York City.
He's going through his midlife crisis, my first
All right, everybody, right here, please. 1, 2, 3. Just gonna take a few. And we're good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dermot, whenever you're ready.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Eddie. Sir? Oh, wait. All right. Very good. All right, I'm just waiting on, I accidentally handed the two next proclamations with the group of the other ones. They're on the way back in. I think I did. It was one of us. They're somewhere over there. They're in the pile. They're getting it sorted out. I'll talk until they get here. All right, good. So the next thing we have as proclamations is March is Women's History Month. And it's also the month in which National Catholic Sisters Week occurs. All right, good. They're on their way back. Good. So we happen to have in the town of Orangetown two very important, very dedicated, and very community-minded groups of ladies. The Blauvelt and the Dominican Sisters of Spark Hill and the Dominican Sisters of Blauvelt. Both are independent, though they are similar in organization and intent, and they do hang out sometimes. It's not like there's a severe rivalry, from what I understand. And they all serve the greater good, and they serve God's calling, obviously. So I thought, given the overlap every year between Catholic Sisters Week and Women's History Month, and given that these women have done so much, and women before them, generations in Orangetown, it would make sense to proclaim this Women's History Month and National Catholic Sisters Week in honor of the Dominican Sisters of Blauvelt and the Dominican Sisters of Spark Hill. So I'm going to call this honoring specifically Sister Michaela Connolly and Sister Mary Flood of the Dominican Sisters, and Sister Mary Murray and Sister Eileen Gannon of the Dominican Sisters of Spark Hill. If you could please come to the front, we got the proclamations for you. A round of applause for our wonderful sisters here. I got this proclamations back here. We got Blauvelt here, Spark Hill here. Spark Hill. All right. Congratulations, and we'll just maybe take a quick photo. Come down for this one. Okay. A little tighter of a crowd.
Michaela, do you want to say anything? Okay. Good evening, and on behalf of the Sisters of Dominican Sisters of Spark Hill, I would really like to say thank you for this honor and for this recognition. We have been in this area for over 100 years, and we've seen the growth and the development in many, many areas, from education to healthcare to senior housing, and we're very, very proud of our connection in this county, and thank you very much for this honor. It's much appreciated. We'll bring it home, and the sisters will be happy to see it. Thank you.
And thank you, too, for this honor to the Sisters of St. Dominic of Blauvelt. We, too, have been here since the late 19th century doing much of the same work: childcare, education, nursing, social work. So we're grateful to be part of this great, great town. Thank you.
Thank you. Should we call like a couple-minute recess so people can cycle out, you think? Or call like a 5-minute recess to let them cycle? Okay. All right. I'm going to move for a 5-minute recess to let the folks who are here for ceremonial reasons go ahead and get out here. Is there a second? All right, all in favor? All right, 5 minutes and we'll resume the official business. There's cupcakes and water and such in the lobby if you want any. It's for anyone. Five minutes, but it seems like everything's settled down, so let's go ahead and get moving along. Wait, we're missing the clerk. Can't do anything without the clerk. Greg, could you poke your head out there? Thank you. Okay. I move that we leave recess. Is there a second? Councilman Divney, all in favor? Aye. All right, we have one last presentation, and I know this is a presentation-heavy agenda, and sometimes that happens, and I apologize for those of you who are not here for them, but this presentation is business-related. Frank Phillips, the attorney representing certain applicants, petitioners, I should say, seeking a zone change, is going to go up and give a presentation to us about his petition for a zone change.
Okay, before we start, I'm gonna have, yeah, it's on. I'm gonna have to recuse myself because I have an adjacent property, so I'm gonna recuse myself from any portion of this.
Thank you, Councilman Valentine. Mr. Phillips, the floor is yours.
Sure. Frank Phillips from the Law Office of Phillips and Millman, 148 South Liberty Drive, Stony Point, New York, 10980, on behalf of the petitioner. I'm also here with John Atzel from Atzel, Nasher and Ziegler, who have worked engineering end of this project. Basically, in conformity with the overlay district on Route 303, which now we've did a little research, and the properties that are located, there are 6 properties that we're looking to rezone. They're located on Route 303 in Blauvelt. I had an opportunity to contact 4 of the property owners which signed the petitions. One is one of the board members here, is not one of the people that are set forth on the petition, meaning that signed the petition, but it would be included in that 6 properties, which we'll illustrate in a second. The reason for the zone change, and another one is the church, which we weren't able to get in touch with, but they would be within the realm of those 6 lots. The petition's been submitted. We submitted the deeds, the land area, zoning map, tax maps, the name and address, and also Mr. Atzel did submit the EAF short form. It's currently zoned LO, which we find may be outdated based upon the uses of the properties along the corridor on Route 303, which are more conducive to commercial uses and the CC or CS zone. In looking at the overall plan for these particular lots, we submit that it would comply with the overlay development that's on Route 303, which right now the LO district is not compatible, and with the Route 303 overlay redevelopment, where the CC district would be compatible and more conforming. Less variances would be necessary and meets the needs for the code for the commercial zone. Right now, most of the properties there do not meet the code. They're non-conforming, and these lots are along the lines of being in conformity with the town seem to look towards in the overlay district. The difference is we did set forth in the zoning code, which is the CC zone would be all those uses in the CS zone, whereby these LO zone permitted uses are really not conducive anymore. Fire and police, community-owned ambulance stations, schools of general instruction, you're not going to have along Route 303 corridor. Executive conference lecture facilities, I'm reading off what are the LO zone permitted by right. Research, experimental, testing labs, those type of things, whereas the CC zone would be all the CS zone uses, which does include a church, schools, business and professional offices, retail, drug, dry goods. Along there is also stores and food establishments. So we feel like this particular zone we submit to the board would be more conducive for that particular area now that the 303 corridor has become busier and wider and has expanded into those commercial uses. So I'll turn it over to John Atzel, which he has a diagram here to show you and anybody that's interested what the exact properties, where their locations are and where they are on the map, because I did some talking here, but it's hard to illustrate that by just speaking about Route 303, see where it is on 303, and I can help you. You want me to give me an extra copy of
I have one now. Hi, good evening. John Atzel, Nasher and Ziegler. We're surveyors and engineers for the project. Presently, the CCLO zone line almost bisects tax lot 13 as shown on the 11 by 17 tax map that I've marked up with the current zoning for the town. And the LO zone extends well past beyond tax lot 19, which is the last remaining lot as part of this zone change. Across the street from tax lot 14 and 13 is CC zone. South of that is R15 zone on the east side of Route 303. And presently, as Mr. Phillips has stated, none of these lots that are within the LO zone conform to the minimum bulk requirements for any of the uses permitted in the LO zone, but most of them do conform to the requirements of permitted uses in the CC zone.
So here's like the layout, this is along the Route 303 corridor, and it's contiguous to the CC zone, and behind it is the CS zone, and in front is the CC zone, so it just makes sense to rezone those properties as CC.
Does anyone have any, I assume that's pretty much it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Does anyone have any questions? For the,
What are the permitted uses in the CC, just so
Yeah,
that
if you
people
could
know,
reiterate
the
that.
public know?
Oh, okay. I got it. CC is the same as CS, trade schools, other schools of special instruction. It goes, but most of it deals with the CS, which I indicated before was retail, drug, dry goods, variety, food, hardware, stationery, auto supplies, restaurants, except fast foods, newsstand, banks, clothing, department stores, home appliance stores, jewelry, art shops, packaged liquor stores, professional service stores dealing directly with consumers, such as barbers, beauty parlors, and dry cleaning, laundry, tailoring, and shoe repair establishments, karate, physical ed, dance, and photo studios, and then to go up, business and professional offices.
Okay, so retail.
basically
Correct.
retail, yeah. And LO is more of a
LO is
office,
Conference
semi-industrial.
just schools of general instruction, the police, fire, and community-owned ambulance, which is also included, you could put that in the CC. Executive conference, lecture facilities, research, experiment, testing, labs, that type of thing.
Okay,
Anything else?
that's my only question.
Yeah, Rob, go
I
ahead.
guess just those properties, I guess that's to the south, to Glenshaw Street. Did you consider going, just for continuity purposes, did you consider going to that line, or?
I did a lot of walking. Because it's not the easiest thing to get people on board. I started from where I thought it was continuous and down, so I actually went from door to door and spoke to the owners, and they were all on board. I didn't get farther south than that. If you wish to do that, that's up to the board, but I could,
What is in those those lots that are not left out? Do you have to know the uses in those ones?
The one south? I didn't
Those are
even
more
look at it.
industrial.
I
Those are
don't know.
more
I went as
industrial, I
far,
think.
I went
The
as
only reason I'm
far,
asking is because it,
K&P paving is the most southern lot that I went to.
Right. That gets a little more office,
I think-
like industrial-ish down
There
there,
are
doesn't it?
Two of the parcels just north of Glenshaw Street are rather large, and then actually just south of tax lot 19, there are two let's call them pre-existing non-conforming lots that are in the yellow, just
Okay.
below the lots that we listed in the petition.
Those smaller ones, right?
I would just ask you to look into that, only because to put the the zone line just kind of in the middle of, just kind of seems to be randomly chosen, you know, so if there's a
Well,
street.
there's zone lines in the middle of other places along the whole
Right, but that
border.
doesn't mean we should continue to do that.
Two wrongs don't make it right.
So, I mean, I would think, you know, at least knowing what the uses are, if they're completely at odds with a CC zone anyway, and they're long-established uses, and they fit more in an LO, it's not like there's not LO further south anyway. It's contiguous still, but maybe at least like check on those two small parcels
Sure.
and see, but,
Yes.
any other questions for the applicant or the petitioner? Okay, so what we'll be doing is we'll talk about setting a public hearing tonight.
Okay.
It's on the agenda to workshop and then possibly vote on. And then that date will be set. We don't have the language for circulation of it yet, but maybe if we could hammer that out back and forth with our town
Sure.
attorney. And then we'll have time to circulate it by voting on that at the next meeting, assuming we go forward with it. So thank you very much for the presentation.
All right, thank you.
We'll-
Have a good
Stick
night.
around.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We have run into the time for a public hearing on water course diversion. Councilman Valentine, you want to
Come back in,
pop
and
yourself back up here?
with
I
that
know where
being
I went to
said, I've
really
got to
do some
recuse myself on this matter. I represent one of the property owners, and therefore I've got to leave the room.
Okay. It's all right. We still got the same amount. It's good. It's just now a more Italian than Irish board now, and it doesn't normally happen this way. I just want to reiterate for anyone at their first meeting. So I'm going to entertain a motion to open the public hearing. Sorry, Town Clerk, could you advise everything's in publicized related to this? And this is regarding a watercourse diversion. I have a script, that's why I'm looking down. This is watercourse diversion essentially is a technical matter allowing for the redirection of streams and then it being dedicated in a right-of-way to the town. Then I'm going to now I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy, second from Councilman Batari. All in favor? The first to present will be the applicant. Go ahead, Mr. Brenner.
My name is Donald Brenner. I'm an attorney from Japan, New York. I represent the owners, the Maloneys. They are present here, too. This project has been before the Planning Board, the Zoning Board, Appeals, and it's received approval from the drainage consultants in terms of what we wanted to do. This exists on a property which has the last remaining open, meandering wet weather stream, which actually circumvents this property or meanders through the property. It is a safety problem which the applicant has been able to work out with the Highway Department, which we'll explain the details in a minute. This small section of stream requires constant maintenance by the town of Orangetown, and we believe they, now speaking with the Highway Department, are in favor of it. I would like to give you the engineering details right now, and then we'll discuss it further on. So, yeah, Ken DeGennaro, who was the designer of this project, will present the elements to you. You want me to hold it? All right, go ahead.
My name is Ken DeGennaro. I'm the engineer for the applicant, and the property is located on the south side of Fisher Avenue. There is currently an open channel on the west side of the property, and it flows downstream to the south. Downstream end, there is an existing 30-inch RCP pipe that the swell is conveyed to. On the upstream side of Fisher Avenue, there is an elliptical 26 by 42-inch corrugated metal pipe. So this reach of about 300 feet, less than 300 feet, is the remaining open ditch section of the water course. It is normally dry and non-rainfall events. As Don said, we have coordinated this project starting in 2015 with the Highway Department and DEME regarding the liability and any other studies and hydraulic analyses that they wanted to see in order to approve this project. So we did select a 30-inch HDPE pipe to convey flow down the west side of the portion and tie into the downstream storm drainage line that exists. So it was a detailed design. We selected the pipe size, approved by DEME, and we did the detailed calculations and design of all the different catch basins that are necessary to make the bends and convey the flow from upstream to downstream.
Is that everything?
Yeah, any specific questions?
I'll be honest, I don't know the questions to ask in a case like this. We don't normally do watercourse diversion, so I'm going to ask maybe Jim Dean, our highway superintendent, to step up to the podium and sort of give his assessment of the situation, because we'll just go with that, I think. Yeah, and Eamon, if you want to step up too, if you've been involved in it. Go ahead, Jim.
Yes, there's been a maintenance issue at this particular location for quite some time because it was an open ditch. Prior to the present property owner, we actually even had issues because the property owner didn't want us to go in on their property. So there were numerous times where debris would get into the ditch, wash downstream, and then hit a head wall, which is the back of a property that faces Salina Court, and cause flooding, actually, through their yard and up against their house. Very difficult for us to do anything with it. because of the system, the way it was open, and leaves or brush or anything could get into it. So I think it's a benefit to the town as long as it meets our engineering standard, and that's been my position on this. As long as it meets our engineering standards and the DEME has approved it based on an engineering design by a professional engineer, then I have no objection to it.
Okay.
It's going to be a better maintenance situation for us than it was in the past.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Any questions for Jim? Eamon, our head of DEME, if you could please weigh in.
Yeah, I agree with Jim. As long as it doesn't, engineering-wise, it meets the town standards, what we're looking for, I don't see an issue with it. I think it would be beneficial, as, Jim explained earlier, so I don't.
So you're okay with,
As presented.
with the design?
Yes,
That's
yes.
That was the important part. All right.
I know we have
Rob, you have any?
Yeah, I just wanted to weigh in. I think on the resolution, we should just put in subject to approval of DEME regarding final design standards and highway department, so that the act of having the permit will be permitted, but we just want to have one, a look that, as long as provided DEME and highway sign off.
It has
So
to
is
be
it-
anyway, because we must go
Right,
back
but-
to the planning board for final.
I just want to
It's
make it
good
clear.
to, yeah, so after the word hereby approved, because assuming it would be subject to approval by the Commissioner of DEME, the Town
Right.
of Orangetown. That'll be added to this resolution when
And-
we do vote on it. And Highway
And highway.
Department.
And one other, I'll have a question
highway
for Mr. Brenner.
superintendent.
I believe part of this crosses over a neighbor's property, is that right?
There is a small section that connects to the existing head wall, which is located off the easement, but it's been there for around, I don't know, around 20 years, Jimmy, right? More than that even. So that head wall, yeah, that head wall's been there for many, many years, and there was a small section that we're connecting into that.
Right, but you can't connect unless you get that other owner's.
That's correct. If the
Permission.
owner doesn't give permission, then we will reroute it onto the easement, which will do, but.
Well, and that's why we're saying subject to the approval, because if that, if you don't
Requires
get that
a redesign,
easement,
yeah.
then you're going to have to change the design. So-
That's
so
correct.
That's just so the
That
board's
makes
aware
sense.
that they may not be able to do it as it's currently proposed.
So it'll be subject to approval of Commissioner of DEME and Highway Superintendent of the Town of Orangetown will be added to the end of that resolution. Okay, I don't have anyone signed in for public comment in this public hearing. Is there anyone that actually showed up to offer comment in this public hearing? That's public comment on any subject that's specific to this. Yeah, sorry. Specific on this subject. All right, I didn't think so. Any thoughts you want to share, gentlemen, or no? Okay. Yeah, do you have a motion to close the public hearing? Councilman Patari, second from Councilman Troy. Do you have a motion to approve the watercourse diversion for Fisher Avenue as so amended by verbal means there? Councilman Troy, second from Councilman Valentine. All in favor? Great. Thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation. All right, we're going to continue on from there to just workshop the remaining items. If Councilman Divney could please return. You may unrecuse yourself. Where is he? I thought he was in the back. It's a permanent recusal. He's going home. Yeah. He's on his way? He's back there? Okay. All right, so again, just to reiterate, the slight difference from our old format, we're going to go through our resolutions, public comment, and then vote on resolutions. That way, everyone has the opportunity to weigh in on anything we're discussing today before we vote. The next one here we're workshopping is the motion that would set the public hearing for the petition we just heard, which I don't think there's much to discuss on it. It was scheduled for April 30th. At which time we can all sort of make up our minds. The next one, number 7, is to approve the retainer of CBRE involved in an appraisal of Pfizer property. There's a tax certiorari case that Pfizer is bringing to reduce their assessment. We're sharing the cost of that along with the school district proportional to our share of the tax revenue. It's kind of necessary to avoid the litigation to have a good appraisal of the property. Any questions on 7? The next one is a memorializing resolution requesting reinstatement of state funding for the Dwyer program, which is peer-to-peer counseling for veterans. That's funded by New York State. It's an important program administered by our County Veteran Services Agency and by Bridges, and they've cut it from the current budget. So this is simply us requesting that they reinstate it, and perhaps cut something else that they've added, because plenty of things were added when this was taken out. Any comments or thoughts? Approve environmental management testing services for a few buildings on Chief Bill Harris Way. As you know, we have a few abandoned buildings along Chief Bill Harris Way. They're an eyesore and they are unsafe. And in order to demolish them, we attempted to get it done for free by the fire departments for training. They all declined because of the condition. We have to get it tested for asbestos in order to be able to take it down. It's only $4,500. Any thoughts, comments? No? Number 10, this is left blank, but we do have a vacancy on the planning board. I know we have one gentleman whose name has been circulated. Is everyone okay with that, or do we want to consider any other names? Do we want to push it to the next meeting? Because we haven't formally notified him of being, on board or not. Okay, so we'll discuss and push it on to the next meeting, but we have to make sure, we're gonna have to get this resolved by the next meeting, so we only have one name right now. Next resolution to approve the retainer of Dictor Law for us to fight the Suez rate hike. We successfully battled the O&R rate hike last time. It got to a reduction in gas and only a slight increase in electric, as opposed to giant hikes in both. Suez is seeking a very high rate increase. They're being, they're going about it the right way, at least, as opposed to O&R's efforts the last time, but they still need to be fought on it to protect our taxpayers. This was divided proportionally amongst the towns based on population and also the solid waste and sewer district. So $12,000, any thoughts? No? Okay. This resolution was proposed to us by the Supervisors Association to condemn the recent actions of Representative Ilhan Omar making anti-Semitic statements. This was supported by Democrats supervisors and also Democrat Congresswoman Lowy. I don't know if everyone's okay with voting on this. It's simply a memorializing resolution to request her to censure Representative Omar for her comments regarding the Jewish people. Any thoughts? Okay. This is more generic stuff, sewer registration certificates, and then we have performance bond filing. And then 15 is to approve the standard summer hours for the building department. It has to be approved every year. And then granting permission for, excuse me, training for floodplain management, which this past year, with the amount of rain we've had, has been something that she definitely needs to go for training on. I think it'd be important. Then we have permission to attend training for 2 officers. Accept proposal for professional services from outside consulting engineers for $5,000 for a improvement study on Old Middletown Road. And then the next one is the traffic study related to the area around the train station and Central Avenue in Pearl River for $14,500 for improving traffic flow around the railroad crossing. Next, under parks, there's an agreement to upgrade the HVAC system in the town hall controls. This is Eric, this is the other side, right? Yeah, this is the side that's not getting knocked down. We had to fix the one in here last year already, so $17,400. Then the next resolution, sitting down with Eric and getting feedback from the community, we did some math on, previously the town board had approved certain amounts in bonding for the redo of 3 parks in town. And based on the math of what it takes to redo the wood chips every year and the people going out and doing it and the constant supply of it versus the upfront increase in cost of rubberized play surfaces, along with the increased usability, especially for disabled folks, of having rubberized hard surfaces. The discussion between Eric and myself and Jeff was to shift over the cost to upfront on the bond as opposed to along with the actual, and give a better product for the people. So that's what this one is here. It increases the cost, but it actually reduces the cost overall to the town of maintaining. Next, we have 2 resolutions for personnel related to termination of 2 employees. due to absence. I want to just, it has been pointed out to me that this is actually under the authority of Highway Superintendent Dean, who is hire and fire authority in his department. We are simply, I guess, recognizing his, we're accepting the determination of it. So if there's any, I don't know if the union is here they wanted to say anything or on this subject, or if not, then we'll just, since it is up to you, Jim. Okay? You want to talk about it? If you want to hear more, we can have Jim. Jim, you want to just explain it with, you want to do executive session? You can. Okay, you want to do executive session? So, we'll do it after public comment. How about that? Okay, since it's not something that concerns the public, and I see people waiting, if somehow it's hot in here, even though it's winter. All right, next we have 3 streetlight installations. They're the streetlight installations. Nothing fancy. And then pay vouchers and the audit. Okay. Now that we've gone through that, I'm going to move that we open public comment.
Second.
Is there a second? Councilman Divney, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. There are 4 people signed in. There may be more people who want to raise their hand after. It's 3 minutes. You are welcome to speak for the entire 3 minutes. Just ask that when you get that bell toll, you just wrap up whatever sentence you're on. We will not answer direct questions during the course of that time. We answer everything at the end unless it's something pressing where you're just going to waste your time talking about something that we could just answer quickly for you, and we'll jump in. And again, the comments at the end, it's not a back and forth. At that point, we'll just sort of address what was brought up. I do want to sort of just address, I see 3 folks in for the Cats on Wisteria Court in advance of your speaking to make sure that you know, if you're going to ask the general situation, the house in question that has had the cat hoarding situation has been issued violations and is in court. And when it's in court, we can't do anything to speed up that process. They've been given a deadline by which to have the cats adopted out. That is what the court ruling was based on it, based on the violations. If there's other things to be discussed, there's of course, well, I just want to make sure that everyone knows where the town's coming from on that. So the first person to sign in is Esther Baitler of Venture. When you get up, even if I call your name just for the record, so the clerk can do a better job with the minutes, just state your name and place of residence, please. Go ahead, Esther.
Good evening, Supervisor Day and Town Board members. I promise to make this short and sweet. My name is Esther Ann Baitler, and I'm a consumer who lives at the Kathy Lucan Independent Living Center in Spark Hill. Tonight, I'm here to ask all of you on the town board to please march with our people. We are the shining stars of Rockland County. I'm also asking, and you know, Dennis, it's true, I'm also asking everybody to come out tomorrow night to the basketball game at Pearl River High School. It's a Special Olympics scrimmage game. If I'm there and I catch 2 people not there from the board, I will have my eyes rolling. But I'm asking all of you to make sure our people get put on TV when they march down Central Avenue in Pearl River. It is a venture policy coming from our new chairman of the board, as well as John Murphy. But again, I'm asking each one of you, I don't care if you march with elected officials, but we are a priority. Elected officials come last, we come first. We are a unique people, we really are. So I'm asking you, Dennis, and all of you, to get out there and march with our people. But I want to make sure they're put on Channel 7, Channel 12. If I don't see it, there's going to be problems. Dennis, you know I'm right. You can't argue with me. Thank you all, and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. All right. Next, we have Jen Mooney of Orangeburg.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Mooney, and I'm from 5 Wisteria Court. So I am here for a second time asking why not more is being done. I appreciate your help, I do, but I'm back here asking, why did this man get an extension on these cats? May 28th is still months away. It's gonna get warmer and these cats are out. Why is it okay for my children not to be able to play outside when I am paying thousands of dollars in taxes? Why is it okay for me to have put upwards of $100,000 into my house, including my garden, in turn raising property value for my fellow neighbors, yet one single-handedly is ruining it? Why is it okay for my children to want to play in the snow just to end up with cat feces all over their hands? Why is it okay that my children are exposed to these cats mating, being woken up by their horrible noises? Why do I, as a pet owner, have to pay not only to vaccinate my dogs and have them licensed through the town, paying for that as well, when my neighbor who has 20 cats and 4 dogs that don't have the same requirements? When a person does not allow their dog out of their home and just lets them defecate and urinate in their home, this should be considered animal cruelty. Yet I feel as if Orangetown is turning a blind eye and just ignoring this issue. Why is it okay that I have to feel anxiety whenever coming home about seeing these cats on my property and not being able to sleep? Why is it that such a wonderful town is allowing people to make it impossible to love? I've said it before and I'll say it again. If I only knew that 2 years after moving into my wonderful home, I'd still be dealing with this situation, I would have never put myself in this situation. I'm tired of dealing with this. I'm tired of being fearful that my children are going to become sick from either being bitten or touching feces and ingesting it. I'm sure you're in turn also tired of hearing about this. So now I will end my comment the same way I began. Why was this man given an extension when in turn he's being the only one given options, but the neighborhood that is struggling on a daily basis is not given any? 2, are you changing any town laws to prevent this from happening again? And 3, is this man going to be allowed to own any other pets after this? Thank you.
Susan Fink of Orangeburg. Thank you. And again, we'll answer any questions at the end. Feel free to say whatever additional you'd like.
I live at 3 Wisteria Court. My name is Susan Fink. The house is not only filthy and smelly, it is a health hazard, not only to myself and my husband, also to the Moonies that you just stated. We are all allergic to these cats, and my complete landscaping has been ruined by this individual. Not only am I allergic to the cats, it's ruining my quality of life and the quality of life of young children. I've lived here with this problem for more than 2 years. It must end so we can live productive, happy lives instead of hours of stress. We are paying taxes efficiently, and the town is letting us down, not taking care of this sooner. The people were given an extension till May 28th. The court's giving them more time to get kittens. I came home from a day out with my husband to find a bunch of kittens in front of my house running across the street from my property. He's only been given an extension to continue what he's doing and to keep the dogs inside, not take care of them, and to reproduce the cats.
Thank you. Phil Fink, did you want to jump up as well?
Well, we've lived on Wisteria Court for over 40 years, and we've never had a situation like this until a couple years ago, when this guy down the street at number 6 Wisteria started this problem with the dogs and the cats, specifically the cats. So my question is, along with Jen Mooney, who's lived here for 2 years, we're paying our taxes on time every year. We love the block. We've lived there many, many years, like other people. And we're in this situation where we come down the street and we see these cats all over the place. I'm sure if it was your neighborhood, I don't think you would like that. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but it's ridiculous. There's feces all over the place. They're mating all over the place. Jen has a tape of them mating and they're screeching. And it's ridiculous. This is a nice place to live. We love living here, but I think the board has let us down. We were here before, and you know that. And now it's coming into springtime, and it's only going to get worse. And I don't know why this judge, Feeney, I believe his name was, I think that was his name, we didn't even know it went to court. Nobody told us it went to court. And then he was given a 3-month extension to the end of May. That's the summer. And there's going to be more cats down here. If you guys want to come down to our block and see it, you can see it for yourself. You wouldn't like it if it was your block, but it's my block. It's Jen Mooney's block. It's my wife's block. And it's disgusting. We have a nice neighborhood on Wisteria Court. It's always been nice. People keep up their landscaping, keep up everything about their homes, and this is ruining our block. And we don't like it, and something has to be done. We can't understand why he was given an extension for 3 months, and we didn't even know it went to court. If we knew it went to court, we would have been there to fight it. But we didn't even know about it until last week. And all of a sudden, it's till almost the 1st of June. This guy can do it. And he has no disregard. We've talked to the Board of Health. We've talked to the Animal Control. We've been here. We called the Department of Health, different people. And there's no coordination to have this stopped. And it has to be stopped now. We're asking for your help. If you want to come down to our block and see it, you can see it. They're not hiding. They're right in his driveway, and they're all over the block. It's ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Allison Sullivan of Blauvelt. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Allison Sullivan, Blauvelt, New York. All right. This marks 3 years I've been coming to this town board for help to eliminate the toxic chemical odors coming from aloof plastics. Even though it's gone on longer than 3 years, I'm here with my neighbor, and I think it's been about 12 years since we've been complaining to the Rockland County Health Department. The odors are still occurring, sometimes just a noxious chemical plastic odor, sometimes with added toxic synthetic fragrance added when they add scents to their trash bags. Some progress has been made, but unfortunately, the information isn't always clear or easy to come by. And until the odors are eliminated or I move, I will continue to fight for the right to enjoy my property and my right to not inhale what the DEC calls HAPs, or hazardous air pollutants. You've heard this all before, and I just really have one question tonight. On December 21st, 2018, the New York State DEC issued a permit modification to the Aloof Air State Facility Permit. It is to address the continuing fragrance odors. New York State DEC included a permit condition that requires Aloof to either properly control the emissions that contain fragrance by installing a scrubber or another DEC control device, or discontinue using fragrance within 60 days. My question is, has Aloof abided by the DEC requirement? Because as of March 5th, several residents reported odors, and some of them stated burning plastic with chemical floral undertones, smells of chemical fragrance, very overpowering and noxious. And on March 3rd, others stated strong plastic with Hudson color lemon fragrance additive. So I want to know, where do we stand with the DEC and with what the town is doing?
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Is there anyone who would like to add public comment who is not signed in? Yes, Mr. Wiley. And Andrew, if you just state your name for the record since you weren't signed in.
My name's Andrew Wiley. Got a question. A while ago, it was in the paper with regards to towns and getting special dispensation from the governor's office regarding lateness on property taxes. Town of Arapahoe took advantage of this, but for whatever reason, the town of Orangetown didn't. Now, is it because the revenue we were going to miss on the late fees, or was there some other rationale, like maybe you didn't think it was appropriate to do that? But I guess for me, I look at it this way. If another municipality is taking advantage of it in our town, or in our county, why are we in Orangetown being made to? Because those people that are paying their property taxes and may have been late, it may have been for an emergency, it may have been a doctor's issue, it may have been they didn't have the finances or they were coming up with the money. The bottom line is those groups of people, however small they are struggling in this town. And so if they got an extra 20 or 30 days to pay their property taxes without paying a penalty of 7% relevy and interest, why did our town not give them that option when the governor gave them and every town that option to do that?
I normally don't do this, but I have an actual question that I won't be able to answer the question if I don't ask it, so let me just. What extension are you referring to? For federal employees?
No, this is for the property taxes for the assessment. If you paid your taxes on time, there was a snowstorm, and because of that event, that was the rationale the governor
I just want to
gave.
make sure, you can continue or.
Yep, no problem.
Sorry. I just want to make sure you got to that before.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So that's one of the things I want to understand what it is. Was there a loss in revenue? Was the state making us whole like the county did? Was there any benefits that the town of Arapahoe got that the town of Orangetown didn't get? I've also come to this board on a number of occasions previously, even some of the board members that are on the board currently, and spoke about the assessments in Orangetown and how, if you do the analysis, Rockland County has an analysis of revenue sharing based upon assessed values. And you can get that from the county, and you'll see that Orangetown pays a disproportionate amount of taxes. Now, granted, we have valuable real estate, but I want to know why we haven't taken a look at that and analyzed it from these other towns in Rockland County, how a town like Clarkstown or Arapahoe that have much more commercial development, their assessments are, I believe, in line with ours, total value. So we need to get a real good understanding of what it is that's happening, because Orangetown residents are paying a higher burden to the county than other surrounding towns that do not take care of development as prudently as Orangetown. So why should we be penalized on the taxes? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wiley. Is there anyone else who would like to speak that has not signed in? If not, seeing no hands, I'm going to move that we close the public comment. Is there a second? Second. Councilman Divney, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'm going to try to hit these in order, and then I'll turn it over for anyone else who's got other thoughts. Esta, I know a couple of us are marching with Venture. I march with the American Legion. I love Venture, but I'm a veteran, and he's a Venture board member, so that's where we go with. So.
I marched with Venture the last several years. I marched with Venture the last several years. Esther, you haven't been there the last several years with Venture.
He caught you. He caught you, Esther. All right. We all love Venture, and we all love the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and I hope you guys get on television. I hope we all do, actually. That would be nice. But more serious issue, Jen, Susan, Phil, I just want to address this issue on your street and make clear the things that have been relayed to you folks when you've called into my office and reiterate the facts of the situation. One, I understand this issue has been going on for 2 years. Very shortly after it was brought to our office's attention, we got this thing dealt with getting violations issued, which you were told the violations were issued. Once violations are issued and they go to court, that's the legal mechanism by which we can stop this. There's nothing that this board can do, though we want to. If I could, I would, and I attempted to, believe it or not, send animal control and round up all those cats and put them up in High Tor and forget about them. I'd be more than happy to. However, it's illegal. We can't do that. As much as we want to, we can't. There is a legal procedure. If you pretend for a second it's not cats, pretend it's cars, and the guy has a bunch of cars on his property, and sometimes he turns them on and they belch smoke, and sometimes he doesn't do anything with them, and they're in various states of repair. They're his property. And we couldn't just take them. We, in fact, have a property in Pearl River that has 2 derelict cars on it. It's been there for a very long time, and finally violations have been issued, and they're in court to get them out. These cars cannot run. They're sitting in there. He lives in one of them, and there is a legal procedure to take people's property. He claims ownership of these cats. We cannot dispute that except in a court of law. Everyone's been informed the violations were issued. Once it goes to court, the court controls the calendar. The court controls the ruling. They're legally completely separate entity. It's not even a town justice, the justice that is hearing it. So, who was it? Well, I don't even think it was. It was Judge. Oh, Judge Finning. I'm sorry, Judge Finning. We don't control him. He's a judge. And as much as I would love, again, to just go in there and clear it out, if we do that, all that's going to happen is he's going to get all his cats back and then also be worth $1 million. And I don't think we want that because then he'll get more cats. So I apologize that he's not doing anything, but the only course of action we have is this court. So the only course of action we have, we don't have the ability to declare. I need you to understand that we're doing everything we can. And if it was my street, I'd be doing the exact same level of things. We can't go in and condemn a house. We can't go in and take his cats. We just can't do that. There is a legal procedure to do those things, and it's long and drawn out. Ask Allison about how long this has been for Aloof. A long time. And at least since I've been in office, we've been trying really hard. And I know that she knows we've been putting effort in. But the point is that we can't just take it as a court, and we're trying our best. No one can just go and take him out or take his stuff out. We can't. We can't. When we informed you folks that the violations were issued, they would go to court. The court dates are set by the judge.
I mean, here's the deal. We're not the court. The bottom line is the court has its own agenda. They set their schedule. We don't. We can't tell the court how to rule. We can't. I'll be honest. If I was you, I'd be pissed off that they got a 3-month adjournment. I would be. And I would be too. But Chris is right. The judges are independent of the town board. We are not a judicial body that can tell them what they do. The judges are elected officials who are bound by the rules and regulations of the court. They make the decisions based on precedent. And as Chris said, even though these cats are, I'm not a cat person, they're I don't like cats. But
we understand.
I'm very sympathetic. My sister lives right next to the reservoir. There's like 35 feral cats on the reservoir. And they've been dealing with this for 20 years. And the problem is,
Well, I don't live near the reservoir.
I'm not saying you do.
We don't have a...
But sir, there's a procedure, and we've told you that many times, but we can't go and call up Judge Finney.
I'm telling you...
I'm not going to debate. Can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not going to debate this. I'm just going to say I can't call Judge Finney and say, why did you do this? That would be overstepping the boundaries 100%.
Well, can I do that?
I would do that.
If you want to, be my guest.
Where is he, a town?
He's a town justice.
All right, maybe I can weigh in. Just, our office was there, we prosecute the matter. The judge put it off for 90 days so that he could voluntarily adhere to the law and get rid of the cats humanely. That's what the judge wanted to do. He wanted to give him an opportunity to get them adopted, get them to a place. This is
He's just relaying the judge's order. We're not the ones that did it.
I was not there in court.
Sir, that we're just relaying.
I
The town
personally
attorney's
was not
office
there.
was prosecuting the matter. The town attorney that does prosecutions was there, prosecuting on your behalf. The judge's ruling is being relayed to you. He's not the one telling you that we're not deciding it. We're just telling you what the judge
I'm just letting you
said.
know what took place. It was put over for that purpose. If on May 28th, we go out beforehand and see that the problem is still there, then it will be dealt with at that time. Then he'll have to, sir, if I can finish.
Guys,
Okay.
folks,
All I'm going to say.
Folks, you have to let him speak. He's explaining it to you. I understand your frustration, but none of us up here are judges. None of us up here deal with that. We issued violations as we should have. We have a prosecutor in there prosecuting the case. We got a ruling we're not fans of, but it's what the ruling is, and we have to comply with it. Pretend it's not a cat for a second, pretend it's something else, and that's the process we have to follow. And we had a deputy town attorney in there arguing on your behalf in court.
So it's going to court. You can call the deputy town attorney handling it. I'll give you her name. You can speak with her after. What will happen is we'll go in, explain to the judge what's happening, see if he's done what he said he would do. Now, he will have to answer to the judge and say, if he doesn't do anything by May 28th, explain why he didn't do it, and then we can go and take appropriate action at that time. So it would either be a significant fine or...
Sir, sir,
listen,
please.
these are the rules, okay? So I understand where you're coming from, but we just can't take the cats away.
This is not, and I want to...
But we did tell him
I
that
want
if he
to,
did...
listen, sir, guys, listen, stop, everybody, please, stop for 1 second, okay? The fact is that this is the situation we find ourselves in. I'm not asking for any more being upset at the town attorney for explaining what a judge ruled. We're explaining it to you. We prosecuted the case. We took it forward. The only way, now I get it, it's affecting your property values. It's very frustrating for everyone, most frustrating for you. It's disgusting. That said, in this country, the only way you can do something like that is via court. It just is. The judge makes a bad ruling, a judge makes a bad ruling. The judge makes a good ruling, he makes a good ruling. You don't get mad at a police officer when a murderer is found not guilty by a judge. Half the time you don't get mad at the DA that prosecuted the case because the judge makes the ruling. And that's where we are right now. So all I'm saying is this. We will continue to prosecute the case. It's the only way we can do this. We looked at town code changes. They all lead to the same point, which is no matter what, if someone claims ownership over an animal, whether they comply with town rules or not, then the court has to adjudicate it. Whether it was licensing or not licensing, it's still them. It's a very loose definition in the United States of America and in the state of New York over ownership of animals. You claim it, it's yours unless proven otherwise. And then there's a process to get rid of them. That's the reality. It's not a good reality, but it is what it is. So I'm sorry you're dealing with this. We all are. We don't want this to be happening. And that's why we issued the violations. And that's why we're in court. But that's all we can do. So I'm sorry about this whole situation.
Do we have the lady's name?
Sure. Ashley, call me tomorrow at the office, and we'll chat.
What is your name?
Robert McGreen.
All right?
Let's give them the number.
They've been calling the town. So if you call the same number for me and click town attorney that you guys folks have been calling, it'll go to his office. All right?
Why don't you give them your home number?
Just ask for the town attorney's office.
All right?
Yeah, Robert Negrino, town attorney.
All right. So, Allison, to the DEC and to Aloof. There's two, again, for everyone else, there's two, you know this, but I'm going to reiterate so everyone understands. There's two separate processes. There's a DEC and state process with Aloof, and there's the local town process with Aloof. We have no control over the DEC, though we do talk to them. I know you also email back and forth with them, and they've been going back and forth. I honestly have trouble keeping up with the responses, but they are pursuing their situation. I don't have an update as of today as to where they stand. I know that they have not fixed everything on the state level, okay? That said, I will get the answer to you from the DEC directly and follow up. I don't have an update from the DEC today. What I can say on the town side, though, is that we issued those 42 violations in December based on our observations by our code enforcers, six sets of 7 violations each. Those are processing through the court process, which, as you know, is a long one. They should stick based on what we know, what caused problems with previous violations that caused them to fail. What we have sought, and we also have now the engineering report. The other thing is the ZBA, which we authorized and hired, the independent engineering report, will be delivered to the ZBA shortly. I can't get into what meeting it's at because I don't know, because the ZBA is in charge of that, and they won't share simply because they don't want to sort of publicize it and give the opportunity to create a defense for what might be put out there. So we want to make sure it hits and it's open, but soon it will be ready, is what I am told.
Within a month.
Within a month or so, yeah, that's what I'm being told. The exact meeting I can't get to, but within a month or so. At that point, they can issue their specific requirements at the town level to comply. So you have the DEC set and the town level. Once that report's in, Aloof will have no choice but to comply with whatever the ZBA tells them based on that report, all right? The last thing I'll say is that yes, the smells have continued. They have reduced greatly from their peaks, but they continue consistently, and that's not unquestioned. And that's why we issued violations just a couple months ago, a good set of them. There's two processes by which we can issue a violation. One, if our employees observe them, and they basically chase them down or happen to be in the area, which has worked occasionally, but we don't catch all of them. Or if a resident who has observed this odor is willing to sign an affidavit that in fact happened and not just report it online as they should so we can track it and then possibly respond, that can become a court instrument by which we can issue violations. This is a procedure that was instituted by Jane over in the building department, our director. It gives us another ability. It basically allows us to enforce things that we don't catch based on the testimony of the neighbors. It is not a thing that puts anyone at legal risk, any more so than any sort of advocacy one might make on this issue. I'm going to entertain a real quick question if you have a technical one.
So if I smell the odor
Yes.
and I file a complaint,
Yes.
then I come up to town hall and
Yes. Okay. Yes. All right.
And
So
you would sign an affidavit, and that would act as the instrument by which the town would prosecute a violation
Exactly.
against the loop.
an affidavit is different from your report. Your report is a real-time. It would solidify the report, exactly. It would legalize the report essentially and give it a legal status as a claim against them.
It's basically the court accepts it as valid evidence that there's something to be
Because
prosecuted.
you're swearing and attesting to
You're
it.
swearing under oath that this is what you observed at this time, at this location, and this is what you smelled. And, I mean, anytime.
Anytime whatsoever that this happens. Anytime, it even happens, listen, the reality is that if someone reports something at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or 12 o'clock, occasionally those smells will dissipate or change location within a matter of minutes. We have sent people out, and our team does respond. Our public health engineer responds to almost every one that reports when he's on duty, he'll respond. We have people responding when they're off duty. So they get out, smell, and if they smell it, that's going to be a violation. If they can't, but the thing is, most of the time, it's hard to catch up with an odor. The wind changes direction slightly, and it's gone. So if a resident smells something and is willing to report it online, that helps. But if they're also willing to come into the town building department and swear an affidavit out that, yes, that report is 100% factual, I attest to it, I raise my right hand, that can be used to raise another violation on them. And we will keep hitting them for violations if that's the case.
And Chris hit the nail on the head. A lot of times when you guys report, by the time they get out there, I mean, I've gone out a number of times with canisters, and by the time you get out there, it's no longer there. And we've had, when they had TRC, they had the woman on the bicycle, she would get calls in, and by the time she got to that location, the smell was gone. No, she was here for 3 weeks. But, I mean, we're trying to do the best we can do, and that was just one avenue that we did at the suggestion of Clean Air for Orangetown. We had someone on a bicycle trying to do, assessments, and, we tried it.
We're going to, again, I will get the update from the DEC tomorrow. I will call Kelly Turturro and see where they stand. We will continue the process. The DEC, the regional DEC commissioner.
All right, yeah.
Real quick, Allison. They will be before the zoning board. The presentation will be made to the zoning board shortly, so keep an eye out on the agendas. I don't think that means that they'll be before it technically, but the presentation of the engineer will be shortly before the zoning board, yes. So in the next time you see an agenda published for the ZBA, keep an eye out for it, because the engineer should be delivering his report at one of them. So again, we'll continue to push. No, I don't have a court date offhand, but when we get one, I'll relay, okay?
Rick, do you have a court date, or? All right.
All right.
Jane's not here tonight.
Unfortunately, Rick is great, but last, Mr. Wiley, assessments, there's a lot to assessments. We pay a much lower rate in taxes and quantity of taxes on residential homes in Orangetown than in other towns, especially Clarkstown. I know that. Our town taxes are much lower. Assessments are based on value. We happen to have a lot of valuable homes and a lot of large corporate headquarters as well. Then also to the extension for taxes. The governor granted that in response to the non-snowstorm that occurred down here, but upstate was an emergency snowstorm that actually shut down roads. I don't know why Ramapo passed it. I guess they were just exercising an abundance of caution. It simply didn't apply to anyone in Rockland County. That was the one where everyone said, oh, we're going to get 6 inches, and we got a dusting. you know, there were places upstate where, you know, the governor himself was on the highway stopping trucks because he likes to do that sort of thing, but also because the snow was really bad. But we didn't have snow down here, so we didn't pass it because it didn't snow. That's why we didn't do it. All right, that's about it, I think. Anyone have anything else to add, or thoughts or notes? No? All right, thank you.
Why I haven't been there, because I run the building. Without me, there wouldn't be another director.
All right, moving on back to our agenda items. We're at item number 6. We are now voting on items as we see fit. This motion is to set the public hearing for the zone change petition. And again, I know that Councilman Valentine will be marked as abstaining on this. Is there a motion to set the public hearing for April 30th?
I'll move.
Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor? All right, we'll vote on circulation at the next meeting. One abstention, sorry, Councilman Valentine, correct? Resolution to approve the retention of CBRE.
Move.
So moved by Councilman Divney. Councilman Troy, second. All in favor? Resolution requesting reinstatement of the Dwyer Program funding. I will move that. Is there a second? Councilman Batari, all in favor? Approving the testing for asbestos at those abandoned buildings. Is there a motion?
Move.
Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Divney. All in favor? We're going to skip this one and push it over to the next agenda with hopefully a name in that blank spot. And then move on to 11, retention of the Dichter Law Firm for fighting the Suez rate case. Is there a motion?
Move.
Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? Memorializing resolution condemning anti-Semitism by Representative Ilhan Omar. Is there a motion? Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor? Resolution for approval of 2019 certificate of sewer registrations for 2 people, companies. Councilman Valentine with the motion, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor? Resolution to accept, receive, and file performance bond for the Griffin site plan. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy, second from Councilman Divney. All in favor? Approving summer hours for building department. Is there a motion? Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Batari. Yes?
Why don't you just say what they are?
Summer hours, good point. Summer hours, which will begin on Monday, April 15th, and will last until Friday, October 18th, will last from 7:30 a.m. until 5:15 p.m. On a 4-day work week. Hold on. Basic work week, 7:30 a.m. to 5:15 p.m., and they're going to rotate employees through to make that work schedule-wise in order to accommodate builders that are coming in at earlier and later hours. All in favor? Okay. Resolution to grant permission for the NFIP for Jane Slavin. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy, second by Councilman Valentine. All in favor? Resolution to grant permission for training for Detectives Domitrovitz and Madalena. Is there a motion? Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Divney. All in favor? Resolution to accept professional services contract for engineering for Booker. Is there a motion by Councilman Batari, second by Councilman Troy? All in favor? Resolution to accept Mazer Consulting's traffic study proposal of $14,500. Is there a motion? Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor? Resolution to approve HVAC control system upgrade in the police department building. Is there a motion? Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? Resolution to increase the contract amount for the playground replacements at Cherry Brook, Stoughton, and Spark Hill Parks. Is there a motion? Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Valentine. All in favor? Do we want to go into executive session on these next 2?
Yes.
Okay, I move that we enter executive session.
Let's just go to the other ones first.
You want to go to the end first?
Yeah, let's
'Cause
go
Are we won't be able, we're going to come out and vote on them, or? Are we gonna
Yeah, but let's just go through the whole
Okay.
agenda.
All
and then we
right,
can
yeah,
come
that
out.
makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Resolution to approve the installation of streetlight. I'm going to bundle these. I'm going to move items 24, 25, and 26 as a whole.
Second.
Second by Councilman Divney. All in favor? Audit.
Okay, tonight's audit consists of 4 warrants for a total of $897,000. First warrant had 2 vouchers for $14,000, and was for the reimbursement of Christmas light expenses. Second warrant had 2 vouchers for $4,000 and was for the Blauvelt Senior Club. The third warrant had 71 vouchers for $78,000. It was for utilities. The fourth warrant had 187 vouchers for $800,000. Items of interest, number 1, Atlantic Salt, $99,000 for highway salt. 2, Capasso, $48,000 for recycling. Number 4, County of Rockland, $412,000 for pilot payment. That's a pass-through. Number 5, Craftco, $17,000 for highway patching equipment. Number 7, H2M, $16,000 for the ammonia upgrade study. Number 8, Helmke, $14,000 for OHA snow removal. Number 10, MetLife, $14,000 for police life insurance. And number 11, South Orangetown Central School District, $50,000 for the pool rental. Any questions on the audit?
Move down the audit.
Motion from Councilman Divney to accept. Is there a second? Councilman Batari, all in favor? Okay. We are not going to move to adjourn. We're just simply move to executive session. We'll be coming out to potentially vote on those 2 employee items afterwards. We will eventually, I'm going to say this now because people won't be back, we will be adjourning in memory of John Harnett, a resident of Pearl River. Is anyone else who we will be adjourning in memory of? Of Tapan? I'm sorry, John Harnett of Tapan. There's a typo on the agenda. Say that again. Ronald Crum? Ronald Crum of Tapan. Okay, Ronald Crum of Tapan as well.
His wife worked in the town attorney's office.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to move that we enter executive session to discuss matters of personnel and what else? Potential use of land. Land contract. And was there any other items to discuss that are separate from not those 2 categories? All right, is there a second? Councilman Divney, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay. All right. I move that we leave executive session. Is there a second? Second. Councilman Valentine, all in favor? Aye. All right. Going back to the agenda, we had 2 resolutions. Dennis, do you have yours in front of you? There we go.
It was item 22.
Item 22. There we go. Thank you. Item 22, to terminate employee number 3400, effective March 22nd. Is there a motion on that? Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor?
It's just
we're
to
not
accept, we're
To
going to
accept.
accept the determination of superintendent of highways.
I'm sorry, the headline is different from the content. The content states the town board accepts the determination of the superintendent of highways to terminate. So, resolution to accept the termination of it. Then further, item 23, resolution to accept the termination with further leave of pay for employee number 3489.
I'm just going to change the be it resolved language. The town board hereby accepts the determination of superintendent of highways to terminate further leave with full pay for employee 3489.
Accepts the determination of the superintendent of highways. No, this is the one we.
No.
We're not terminating. We're only reducing his pay. His or her pay. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy, second by Councilman Valentine. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn in memory of John Harnett and Ron Crum?
Yep.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? Aye. We are not. No, we are done.